Y'all, we're making chaffles about 4 years late. Come on. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the almost weekly web series where we find and test the best low carb recipes this crazy internet has to offer. Today, we're tackling low carb keto chaffles. Finally, stay tuned. All right, guys, chaffles. Chaffles. Cheese waffles. They're not new, no. In fact, the first mention of chaffles in my comment section, when are you gonna do a chaffle battle, was about 4 years ago. And since then, I lost count at over 80 different comments asking me, when are you gonna do a chaffle battle? I mean, you guys literally, look. Dozens of you. So we're going to take a look at these recipes by the Keto Twins, our friends over there. I love their channel. If you haven't been over there, please go visit Keto Twins. I love their approach to keto. I love their testing and their tastings and all of that. So they have revitalized the chaffle world with their perfected chaffle that uses lupine flour. So we're going to do that. They've got over almost 200,000 views on this video. So there's still some people out there that want to discuss chaffles. So that's what we're going to do today. The first one is their original recipe with lupine flour. I'm going to do another version. Somebody in their comment section said we do the same thing. We use your recipe, but we swap out pork panko, which is, crushed pork rinds. We're going to do that. And then I've got another little third wild card I'm going to throw in there that I'm very just curious about, and it may not turn out, but we're going to find out. But before we begin, I need to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of this video, Good Chop. Good Chop is a meat and seafood delivery service that offers convenient, contact-free delivery right to your door. You can order fully customizable boxes of your favorite cuts of beef, chicken, pork, and seafood. I particularly love their wild-caught salmon, and their bacon, big old fat thick bacon, is fantastic. Now, all their products are sourced from the United States. Unlike a lot of other companies, Good Chop gets their meat and seafood exclusively from American farms, fisheries, and independent ranchers. And all of their beef is 100% antibiotic and hormone free. Now, when I say that it is customizable, their beef, you can get some beautifully marbled USDA Choice and Prime, or you can also bump it up and get 100% grass-fed filet mignon and ribeyes, whichever you prefer. Now, because Good Chop only sources the good stuff, they are very confident in their products and offer 100% money-back guarantee. If you don't like it, get your money back. So I am loving the convenience and quality and selection of Good Chop. It's so much easier just ordering it online and having it delivered to your door, ready to go. So right now, Good Chop is offering you guys a fantastic deal. If you will go to goodchop.com/YouTube and enter code Highfalutin120, or just use the link in the video description below, you'll get $120 off across your first 4 boxes today. I say this all the time, sponsorships aren't why I do this, they're how I do this. So Good Chop, thank you for sponsoring this. It's sponsorships like yours that keep channels like mine on the air, and for that I am truly appreciative. Again, guys, go to goodchop.com/YouTube and enter code Highfalutin120, or just use the link in the video description below to get $120 off across your first 4 boxes today. All right, let's get to cooking. Come on. All right, so let's get started here on this first recipe. Now, I have done a chaffle on this channel before in my pumpkin waffle battle, and I'll leave a link to that up here so you can take a look at that. And it did go well, and I did enjoy it. And I have my little mini dash waffle makers, and I've had them here for probably 3 years now, and I've never upgraded to the 4 waffle maker that the Keto Twins use and most people have sort of graduated to, because after the first few chaffles, I didn't really just fall in love with them. They weren't something that was a staple in my diet, although I know now from the comments, and especially on their video, it is a daily staple for a lot of you. So we're going to test their recipe, and normally I don't give exact measurements because the people that did create these recipes, they deserve the traffic, and you need to go visit them. But I am going to ask you to please go visit the Keto Twins. This is the new crunchy chaffle recipe, and but I am going to give you the ingredients in this particular video because there's just 4 simple basic ingredients, and it's kind of pointless to send you over there, but I do want you to go watch their video and all of their videos because they are delightful. All right, so it starts with mozzarella cheese. So they had a they had the original chaffle recipe was using almond flour, and they're trying to get it, it's about 3 net carbs per chaffle. They're trying to get it lower. And one way they decided to do that was to use grated, their own grated mozzarella. I often use the pre-shredded, and yes, I know there are some cellulose and some anti-caking agents that probably add some carbs, but those are accounted for generally in the packaging. They're not just magically in there and aren't accounted for, but they're trying to get this as low as possible, so they grated their own, and I did the same. I used the grating blade on my food processor, as you can see here, and then I put all the grated pieces, which are about that long, I put them back in the food processor again to get this finely grated mozzarella cheese that is easier to spread and works better in this recipe, apparently based on the comments and the video. Okay, so we're going to add our dry ingredients to this. So I'm going to let you know, I'm cutting these in half. Their recipe makes 6 chaffles. I'm cutting it in half because I'm only going to make 3 of each, and I want to test 3 different recipes, right? So I've cut all this in half. In their original recipe, they called for 2 cups of shredded mozzarella. I've used 1 cup here. They called for 2 tablespoons of lupine flour, so here I've used 1 tablespoon. We're cutting everything in half. Now, they also call for a teaspoon of xanthan gum, and that's a lot, but that's what makes this really crunchy. This xanthan gum, we all know, sort of adds a different mouthfeel to baked goods, and this is no exception. So, because it asks for 1 teaspoon, I'm only using a half. Now, use a fork and mix this together. If you don't do this and you went ahead and put in your egg whites, the xanthan gum is just going to create a big ball of hatefulness, and you never get it mixed in. So just, mix it as best you can. So now you feel better about putting in your egg whites. And they specifically said they were using in their old recipes regular eggs, whole eggs, and separating them. And you have some of the waste there, and it was just a lot to do. And they make them every morning, so they're using just 100% egg whites, right? 100% egg whites. And so we're going to use, the recipe calls for 4 tablespoons, but we're obviously cutting it in half, so we're only going to use 2 tablespoons. So there's not a lot to this recipe. Ooh, I got a little close there. There's not a lot here, and it looks really dry. This is not a liquid batter, which kind of surprised me when I saw their video. I was like, well, how are you going to do that, hon? But the crispy factor. Now, the magic part of all of these chaffle recipes is they can be sweet, they can be savory, they can be a hamburger bun, they can be a sandwich bun. They have a lot of variety of uses. So this is the basic thing. So once these chaffles are made, you could put whipped cream and berries on it and syrup. You could put cream cheese and lox, smoked salmon, or you could cut them in pieces and dip them in marinara like cheese sticks, which we're going to try here. Okay, so my waffles makers have heated. Once the light goes off, they're ready to go, and they're smoky. So she said the exact amount that they use is 2 tablespoons makes the perfect chaffle. So she puts them in and then spreads them out. I'm only going to make 1 now, because I'm going to have to make some others for the thumbnail. Look at there. You can hear it kind of crispy, crunchy. Now, so she said this isn't a thing that's going to push itself to the side, so you really have to coax it into the corners and the edges, and it will eventually puff up into a waffle. Close this lid. Ooh, shoot. At least 4 minutes. She says, at least 4 minutes. You're going to see a lot of steam, a lot of activity. Move past that steam, at least 4 minutes. Let me set my timer. And move past that steam. And that if you are lifting the lid repeatedly and cheese is sticking, it's never going to set. And you don't want the cheese, you don't want to pull it up and there be cheese stuck. Wait until that comes crispy. And theirs are pretty dark, to be honest with you. They look dark, but they sure look good. And we're going to also put them on a baking rack when we're done. So I'll meet you back here. So this is cooking. We're going to start up here. This is the 1 cup of mozzarella cheese, the same cheese. To this we're going to add 1 tablespoon of ground pork rinds. I just put them in the food processor for a second. we're going to add our half a teaspoon. Ooh, that's smelling good already. Our half teaspoon of xanthan gum. Yeah, and the easiest way to mix this, she said, is with a fork. And I think I agree. Again, remember, I've cut this in half, so, oh, Lord, that's a pork rind. Now, going to add in our egg whites, 2 tablespoons, and give this a good mix. The xanthan gum is really the star ingredient here, I believe. And the lupine flour gets it much lower in carbs. You're down to less than 1 carb for the lupine flour version, and even less than that for the carnivore version. I think they call them a paffle. The pork waffle, this one, I think is called a paffle. Enough with the crazy terms already, kids. All right, so let's put ours in here. I'm going to scoop 2 tablespoons out. Use our spoon to force it into its fit. I feel like that's not enough. I'm going to put a little bit more. She specifically actually said an 1/8 of a teaspoon measure, but my measuring cup, I ain't got no 1/8 teaspoon. All right, 4 minutes. Meet you right back here. Okay, we've got another 3 minutes here, but this one is at 4 minutes. Apparently there's a presentation side and an ugly side, and we want the presentation side. It's hot though. Oh yes sir. I mean, come on, Sally Jenkins, that is pretty. All right, we're gonna put it here on a rack. Now, got a few more minutes, but here's what I want to do for the third and sort of wild card recipe. Y'all remember my last video a couple of videos ago with the ketos, with Victoria's Keto, what is it? Victoria's Keto Kitchen, her keto perfected flour. I made that there. There's a lot of ingredients. It's got bamboo fiber and some other things. Well, since I've got some of that already that I've already made, what if we used that, a tablespoon of that instead of our flour or our lupine flour, and tried it? Let's see what happens. So again, 1 cup of mozzarella cheese. This is the Victoria's Keto Kitchen Perfected Keto Flour with bamboo fiber and almond flour. And this is 1 tablespoon. This is her 2.0 version. Now, you're right that recipe did already have some xanthan gum in it, but not much, probably a minuscule amount. I am going to add, as requested by the recipe here, I'm going to add more xanthan gum because that's what's creating our crunchy, crispy lovey-doveyness. So make sure all that's mixed up. And this may not work. You know, that bamboo fiber is very aggressively absorbent. So maybe that, you know, who knows? I might need to do some adjustments. I'm sure it'll work great. It just might not be an easy swap, an equal swap. 2 tablespoons of that. And this definitely has a different texture. It's so fluffy. Y'all know that Victoria's flour is so, the perfected flour is so fluffy. All right, let's do 2 tablespoons of this, 2 rounded. And cross our fingers and hope we don't start a fire or break the space-time continuum here. Ooh, you hear that? That means our other waffle's ready. And once it starts melting, it kind of fills in all the gaps of the, well, you saw. Get off there. Okay, 4 minutes. Let me set my timer. And so here's our second one with the pork panko. Definitely looks a little cheesier. Yo. Okay, so I'm going to put the pork up here because it was in that bowl. I'm going to put this one as our first waffle. That's the original. This is the pork panko. They both look beautiful. All right, let me unplug this guy here. So if you're a Chaffle fan, please leave me your favorites below. I know people do chocolate, apple cinnamon, all kinds of things. So if you have a favorite Chaffle recipe and what you do with Chaffles, let me know down below. I'm going to heat up some Rayo's marinara sauce and go to town with one of these and see what it's like. All right, so I'll meet you back here as soon as this is ready to go. All right, guys, so we are back to test these waffles. I knew this would be a short video. That's because making chaffles is pretty easy and pretty quick. That's the magic of them. So here are went ahead and made 2 of each. Look how pretty. They all look exactly the same pretty much. You can sort of see some differences when you start looking at the bottom. All right, so this one in the middle here, this is our original one that we made. This is the Keto Twins new crunchy waffle chaffle recipe. This is with lupine flour. The one on the top is the one that her commenter said that we should try, and this is substituting ground pork rinds. The one on the bottom is the one I just sort of threw together. This is the one with keto, I can't say it, Victoria's Keto Kitchen, Keto Standard Flour 2.0. Mouthful. All right, so let's taste these. What do they taste like? Let's move this out of the way. We put them on this so that they can stay crispy. And they do sound, I mean, they're pretty crispy. All right, let's taste it. I guess that's what they call the ugly side, and that's the pretty side. But this is not even hot to the touch. This is already cooled. Man, that's good. It has the saltiness of the mozzarella. Mozzarella is salty, and to me, and I do feel that you definitely taste the saltiness, but nothing that even if you're making it in a sweet edition, a sweet recipe, I think you'd get away with it. Okay, second one. This is the pork panko, the paffle, the paffle truffle, still crispy, really white and beautiful inside. And what does it taste like? Crispier. No pork flavor. Doesn't taste like pork rinds. None of that. Completely undetectable. Somehow seems less salty, even though those pork rinds had salt in it. Somehow. Wow. Pretty good on both of those. All right. Last one's the one I tried to Frankenstein up here. Although it sounds pretty good as well. It was the whitest and brightest because that bamboo fiber is super bright. What did it do? That's good. It's better than the other two by a small margin. It's got a bunch of ingredients in it, and that keto flour is fantastic. I have used it since. I'm sort of in love with it if you can find the bamboo fiber. But wow. Okay. Okay. If I were grading these, they're all really good and sort of the chaffle, right? I would give the original, I would give the Victoria's Keto Kitchen flour version the top. This is an A. And look how good. Just a little bit of marinara sauce. Some Rayos. Holy smokes. Y'all, that's wicked good. Yep, the last one that we made, that's number 1. I would put the lupine flour as number 2 and the pork panko as number 3, simply because it's just a slightly less volume. There was less, it didn't puff like some of the other flour-based ones. So, chaffles, are they still popular? Yep, you better believe it. And I see why some of you keep these on hand all the time. And addressing that, she did say that you can keep them in they have like a little cylinder they keep them in, or you can Ziploc bag them, and that you can reheat them in a toaster. Some of her commenters said, we toast ours all the time directly from the freezer, and they're like, great. She says you'll get 70 to 80% of the crispiness, but a lot of people are just putting them in the freezer, making 10 to 12 of them at a time, putting them in the freezer, taking them out one at a time as they need them, throw them into a regular old school toaster for a few minutes. reheating them, and they're coming out pretty dang good. But this is so easy. You could have all the dry ingredients ready to go in your fridge and a carton of egg whites, and just do a couple of tablespoons of each in a tiny little bowl in the morning, and boom, you're ready to go. So there you have it, folks. Chaffles, go out there and make one. Let me know down below if you have a particular chaffle recipe that you love, or a chaffle variant. I'd love to hear about it below, so share that below. Also, I say it every time, these videos are a way for me to maintain my low carb way of eating, and looking into that camera as often as I can helps keep me honest. So I appreciate that you guys have come along for the journey. If you don't follow me on Facebook and Instagram, be sure to do so. I'm just Highfalutin Low Carb over there. I talk a little more frequently and a little more freely on those platforms, so be sure to go check out that. I'll put a link over here and it'll be in the video description. Help me grow those channels, and I can show you what I eat for dinner at night and where I've been during the day. It's just a little more casual atmosphere. Also, I need to ask you to please like this video. It doesn't cost you a dime, but it's the easiest thing you can do to help us grow. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that this is a video of important information that other people might want to see. So give it a like, and then also, if you aren't a subscriber, be sure you have hit the subscribe button and click the bell beside it. It'll let you know just as soon as I release a new video. And lastly, I need to say again, thank you to the sponsor of this video, Good Chop. Without you, sponsorships like this, channels like mine wouldn't stay on the air. So be sure to go to goodchop.com/YouTube, use code Highfalutin120, and you'll get $120 off across your first 4 boxes today. So thank you so much, Good Chop. Lastly, I promise this is it. My Patreon members. If you don't know what Patreon is, think of it as the tip jar for the internet. It allows people like you who enjoy what people like me do here on YouTube. You can give $1 or $2 a month just to keep the train on the tracks, as it were. You'll see their names starting to scroll here now, and without them, truly none of this would be possible. So, all right, guys, I love you very much. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, today is a good day to have a good day. Bye-bye.